Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? This is Aluminum Tarot. I'm going to be reading the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of December 2025. So hopefully you can hear me all right. Hopefully my voice is decent because I literally lost it for a couple of days like a lost puppy. Just ran off after the temperatures decided to drop down a bit. And I was kind of in that in-between area where I didn't know if I wanted to wear the scarf or if I wanted to just wear my sports jacket. Unfortunately, the weather was thinking otherwise and I'd completely crashed out my voice. And so now that it's coming back, I'm going to have some nice tea on hand just in case anything, gets a little bit crackly or I start to lose my voice or start to cough out like that. I'm going to go ahead and read for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising from now until, for the month of December 2025. This is the message that you just need to know for this current moment. And hopefully this is going to be a decent enough synopsis of what takes place in the month of December. So as always, the order of the day is if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding that notification bell, drop a comment below in the comments box. And if you would like to support the channel monetarily, feel free to do so at the PayPal link in the description box below. Thirdly, if you want to support the YouTube tarot community, not just myself, make sure that you're always blocking and reporting any spammers that are, gallivanting their way into a lot of the channels and trying to pose as tarot card readers from the channel that they have grifted. That said, we're going to go straight into it. I've already shuffled the cards. We're going to just make this nice and succinct for this month. The first thing we've got here is the Nine of Cups in the reverse. This is for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. You're feeling right now like half of a person. And it's almost like a person who is kind of locked into a cycle of codependency. One of the things I've had to explain to a lot of people when I give these readings or if I tell them something specific is I do not mince my words and I do not sugarcoat my expressions anymore. It is because of a long period of dealing with bullshit and after time happens, this happens over and over and over again. You're just like, okay, the truth is just going to cut through all of the nonsense. And what I see here, if I have to be honest with you, is a person who is wallowing in their sorrow and their bullshit, whatever has accumulated this Nine of Cups energy in the reverse. This is a person who's gone out drinking quite a bit because Nine of Cups talks about codependency. That can be codependency on substances, on the attention of other people, and so on. So this is not a good place to be in. I do not like the Nine of Cups in the reverse. And this is challenged by the Eight of Coins. So this could be about work. The challenge could be that maybe you're overworked, but I'll clarify. Okay. So the challenge is the Eight of Coins. And the clarifier of that was the Nine of Coins. If I had to interpret that in a specific way, what I would say is that the challenge for you right now is learning how to get into an independent energy and working on getting towards that. Perhaps this is related to your profession, your occupation. Perhaps this is related to you saving up enough coin so that you can be independent financially. But I'm seeing this more of like Nine of Pentacles energy, where a person is independent, knows their value, and is in pre-Empress energy. That is the challenge. So it is you're not seeing your worth, and you're not doing anything to work towards that for the specific Aquarian that I'm reading for in this reading. Now, moving from the recent past, we have the Nine of Swords in the reverse, and we have the Hangman in the upright. So what you're doing now, you're trying to come out of the negative energy of your mind where you were saying to yourself, I was stressed out about a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to see things differently. Maybe you felt stuck in that Nine of Swords energy and now you're trying to get out of it, find a way to look at it from a different perspective, so that way you're not fixated on the things that cause a lot of your pain and suffering mentally. And if you're an overthinker, then that is definitely saying to yourself, I need to find a way to stop doing that. And this is very common for many air signs. Now when you look at the whole signs charts, I have 4 placements in the 11th house, which is the house of Aquarius. And I know what it feels like to have a brain that just kind of needs to be on a lead at all times. Otherwise, it's going to run off and get hit by a truck. You don't want that to happen. But, for what it's worth, the Aquarians are geniuses at creating solutions for everyday problems, similar to the Virgo. And it's almost like they're an octave higher than the Virgo or the Gemini, and in many ways, looking at it from the, tertiary perspective of the zodiac. So you have you have signs 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the 9, 10, 11, 12 typically represent the more spiritual aspects of those modalities, of those elements. So that said, we are going into the cards in the near future. You have the Hermit in the reverse, which talks about seeing things from a different perspective. And finally, after receiving that insight and clarity, moving out of that energy of isolation and desolation. Then you go into the 6 of Swords, which is making the changes you need to move forward. And while it's a difficult transition, it is nevertheless an important transition. So, for example, seeking counseling, seeking therapy, going within, taking time to heal, moving out of that desolate, woe is me energy from the 9 of Swords, moving into the 6 of Swords, where you're actually making the progress needed to harmonize your thinking, which 6 is the number of harmony. And so that's going to be very important for you when you do this, taking those lessons that you have learned from the past. Why do I feel this way? What is it that's triggering this? What is it that's causing this? Can I release this from my mind so that I can have the clarity I need? So what we have at your core energy, I'm going to go ahead and look at this. We have the 5 of Wands. It can talk about conflict. This is internal conflict or external conflict. It doesn't necessarily need to be per se you're fighting with everyone. Initially what it feels like to me is frustration. And the reason why I also say that is because clarifying that is the Magician in the reverse. So you're feeling like it is so hopelessly difficult for you to materialize what it is that you want, because 5 is the number of change, and this is the 5 of Wands. So it's all about your action, your intention, your desire. It's like a person who is doing their best to change their situation and meet their needs, meet their desires, but they're having difficulty to manifest that in a way that's very healthy and that can propel them into something they want. Could be a job. I'm seeing this more as I'm getting Langston Hughes as a dream deferred. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Blah, blah, blah. Or does it explode? Or does it sag like a heavy load? Or does it explode? And these are the types of things that are popping into my mind when I think about this particular type of card combination. We go into the energy that you have for the crown, which is the Page of Cups. And clarifying that is the Wheel of Fortune. This is what you want. You want to be in an energy where you can communicate your feelings and emotions, and that you feel that things will finally change in your favor. And I love the way they've illustrated the Wheel of Fortune in this particular deck. This is the Tattoo Tarot, which I haven't used very often because the cards are quite difficult to shuffle. They're very thick stocked, and they can be a bit slippery as well, but they can be worth it because the artwork is so amazing. Plus, I'm a massive fan of tattoos. I have 5 of them myself. Going into that, you feel that you really want to get into a more lighthearted energy. It feels like the energy that is at your core, which is what you are feeling deep within, is much different from the energy maybe that you're exhibiting outwards. It's kind of like I'm feeling like the crying clown. You know, this is about the clown who wears a happy face all the time but is crying deep inside. And I may have touched on that in one of my rants or rambles from maybe last year or so, where, you know, it's all about the tragedy, where the clown that is a performer, they perform for people, and they come back to their normal life, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. The happiness they show to the audiences that they have cannot compare to the sadness that they feel within when they're struggling with their own demons. And this is kind of what I'm feeling with this dichotomy in this card and this deck. And it's it can be a very rough thing to face, because, you know, you've seen characters like the Joker, you've seen Pennywise, the dancing clown from It, which is a completely different kind of inner sadness. You know, that's interdimensional levels of insanity for Pennywise. But it's like what you show on the outside is not what's on the inside. And that's kind of way, you know, that clown dichotomy can be a bit of a deceptive character. So moving onward, what we see here, there's a lot of things to kind of get through in this. So you have the Two of Wands in the reverse. You have the Tower. And you have the Ace of Cups in the reverse. And you have the Five of Cups. So let this be a warning. I'll just say what comes to mind. It is important to find a healthy outlet for expressing how you truly feel and what is going on underneath the surface. Aquarians, in the stereotypical sense, can be quite emotionless, robotic, and not clear in the way they communicate their emotions and their desires. I can be like this myself, but my moon isn't in the 11th house. It's in the 10th, which is more like Capricorn. So when I'm sad, I'm just like, leave me alone. No one talk to me or touch me. I'm just going to go into this room, switch off all the lights, and listen to Typo Negative or something like depressing as all fuck out. You know, all get out. And after that, I can feel purged and feel a lot better. And I come back out and can face the world. But in this case, what I'm seeing here is that a failure to address this could lead to a Tower moment that really fucks your life in the worst way. And it came out like that. I don't really have much of a filter like I used to in the past. This last decade has actually destroyed that filter. So I just say what's on my mind. Two of Wands in the reverse. It indicates to me a kind of carelessness in the way that you plan and approach things. Two of Wands in the reverse can indicate a decision, but in this, I'm seeing it's a person who is aimless and has no plan, leading to a Tower moment, which leaves you with a lot of grief. Whichever Aquarius I'm speaking to at this point, you need to do your shadow work. And a failure to confront that shadow will result in your destruction. I'm channeling this message. Make sure that you are as much light as you are dark. Merge and integrate those two forces so that way they make sense to you and you can live authentically. And a failure to do that will result in that Ace of Cups in the reverse, the Five of Cups. pure depression is what that sounds like. I'm going to pull some cards of advice because that reading really sucks. So what advice have we got for the Aquarians? What advice have we got for the Aquarians? There we go. Look at that. Exactly what we were talking about. And this is why I love the tarot, because it is a tool straight from the divine that allows us to see how we can resolve the issue. Ten of Cups pops out as your advice. How would your happiness look like? What would your happiness look like? How would you achieve it? What is it that you need to do in order to get that? Because really the Ten of Cups is just the Five of Cups twice. Eventually you'll get so tired of being sad that you'll start to move towards happiness, because, you know, when you get to the bottom, there's only one way to go up. There's two ways to go up, and I don't want to put it like this because it's probably a very horrible thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you're at rock bottom, you can either A, go 6 feet below that, which is pretty permanent, or you can rise to the top, because there's only one way, and there's up. So I hope you choose the second, because life is precious, and really things are not as bad as we make it out to be. We can be our own worst enemy. We can also create the illusions that there is no hope. I've been in that situation before. It sucks, but eventually you find a way out of it to see things clearly and to integrate the shadow with the light, allowing you to acknowledge your pain points and finally find a way to deal with them. Another advice. This was at the bottom of the deck when I was reading initially. This is Justice. Justice talks a lot about balancing things out, being fair, impartial, being objective, knowing what to do, and to always do the right thing. So that said, that is what you're encouraged to do. If you have Libra in your chart too as well, that would resonate for you. Is there any other advice you can give us, Spirit? Okay, any more advice, Spirit? Okay. Page of Wands. So, Page of Wands is about discovering your spot, discovering what makes you feel whole, what makes you passionate, and going for that. And it is important for you to do that, because if you felt a lack of passion in your life, or if you felt directionless, it is important for you to take up the mantle and go towards what it makes you feel passion. Makes you actually want to carry on with your affairs. And I see here, I'm trying to see what this is tattooed on him. He's got several roses tattooed on him, one on his neck and one on his hands. The rose is a symbol of love. And it's an expression of love. And I don't understand why many of the Page of Cups, or like the other kind of lovey-dovey cards, don't really have a lot of roses in them. But it, to me, is a kind of expression of love. Perhaps you need to give to yourself that love that you've always needed, that you've always wanted but never found in anyone else. I can tell you from personal experience, and I hope I don't rant too much on this. I'll give it about a minute or two. In the dating scene, a lot of men struggle. Women struggle too, but they're not by themselves nearly as much as they should be. And when a man says he's single, he's like, I'm not seeing anyone. When a woman says she's single, that means she's getting a lot of options, a lot of matches and stuff, but she's not able to lock down a relationship. I've said this to a woman before. She probably hates my guts for saying that, but you know what? Fuck it. I'll say it anyway. And I have no reservations about saying that. And in my personal life, when I was at the point where I just wanted to say, you know what? I don't think that the dating scene is going to be worth the damn. I'm withdrawing. I'm getting out. And that is when my life began to turn around, because I was no longer looking for that validation from any external sources that would try to show me the love that I felt that I needed. And this is important for many people. It's very important, especially for men, as many of us are quite invisible. There is no human being that's going to love you the way you can love yourself. Maybe your mom or dad, but human nature is very changeable. Human nature is not meant to be able to carry on this type of love endlessly. You cannot even recognize love until you have it for yourself and see your value and your worth. And there is no amount of saying that can get you to realize it. You will realize it through the circumstances that you find yourself in as you develop and mature as an individual. I'm going to leave it there. That was the message that I wanted to deliver that. And that's pretty much it. This is Aluminum Tarot. My voice is starting to go out again, so apologies for the pauses. Thank you so much for this chance to read for you today. This has been for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Feel free to leave a comment below, get the algorithms going, and also if you'd like to contribute monetarily, feel free to do that in the PayPal description, the PayPal in the description box below. That's going to be it. I'm going to leave it there. The energy is a bit heavy. I've already had to do 2 shit readings, but hopefully we can spice things up. I'm hoping that Scorpio has something good to say. For fuck's sake, Scorpio, bail us out of this absolute cesspit of an energy right now, because the readings are quite heavy, but they are truthful, and I appreciate that. And it's the message that we need to learn. Take care. Till next time, love and light.